to have both of those up-and-coming stars on the field at the same time.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet. KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
Hello, everybody. It's Charlie Stone, and here with me, Andy Goodyear of Honda of Lincoln. Andy, I hear that new Honda manufacturing continues to go up, and you have new Hondas in stock now.
That's correct, Charlie. We have more than 40 new Hondas in stock right now. It's great that a customer can come in and buy a new Honda and drive it home that day. New Honda inventory keeps getting better each month.
Okay, then. How about used cars, Andy?
We have more than 100 pre-owned vehicles to choose from right now, and a lot of fresh trade-ins are coming in daily. We have just about every maker model you can imagine in any price range.
Thanks again, Andy. People love the selection and great service at Honda of Lincoln. Maybe it's time you come experience the Honda of Lincoln way of doing business. 27th and Yankee Hill, or online at hondaoflincoln.com.
In every office, there's two types of people. There are those who bring in bagels and those who eat the bagels that someone else brought in. Everybody likes the first person. Be that first person. Weekday mornings at 7:30, you have a chance to win a business box of bagels from Bagels & Joe. All you have to do is shut up, Sipple. 2 questions for you, 2 for Sip. Win, and the bagels are yours. Lose, well, you don't want to lose.
You lost Monday, you lost Wednesday, you're a loser.
Shut up, Sipple. Weekday mornings at 7:30, brought to you by Bagels & Joe.
Your home is your empire. Protect it with Empire Fence. Get a free instant quote with the online estimating tool at empire-fence.com. See an upfront estimate with no hidden fees. An Empire Fence can provide privacy and improve the appearance of your home. Keep kids and pets in or out of your yard. Increase security and add value to your property. Visit empire-fence.com now to view the stylish and maintenance-free possibilities for your home and get a free instant online quote. Let Empire Fence protect your empire.
This is the Happy Hour.
You guys going to happy hour?
Coming at you live from the heart of Lincoln, America.
Yeah, I'll come for a couple.
Here are your hosts, Nick Sainert.
I want to know what it's like to commit a crime without having to spend time in jail.
And Enrique Alvarez Clary.
C is for chunk.
Brought to you by Empire Fence and Netting on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome in. Happy Wednesday. This is the Happy Hour, 93.7 The Ticket, theticketfm.com. Nick Sainert and Austin Orman with you. Rico still out, as the Omaha Supernovas actually have a match tonight against the Columbus Fury. So DP Rico, Renee Saunders will be bringing you that coverage tonight as pregame show starts at 5 p.m., sponsored by our friends over at Mullen Motors. And then obviously make sure you stay tuned after the conclusion of the match for the postgame show, sponsored by Next Ag Appraisal and Realty. So, as always, happy hour. Thanks to our friends over at Empire Fence and Netting for their support. As always, 464-5685, the Honda of Lincoln hotline and the Starter Hammond text line are open for you guys the entire show today. And part of my favorite, or one of my favorite things every time we start the show is the initial text we receive from our good friend Eric. Honestly, one of my best friends. And first of all, hello, Austin.
Hi, Nick.
But I think that honestly, the guy that's the most excited to hear my voice every single day is Eric on the text line. Every single day. I'm thrilled Nick's here. Thanks, Nick, for choosing to come on the air today. Nick, you're the smartest man on the ticket. I don't agree with that one, but Eric believes so. And so, Eric, I just want to give you a personal shout out every single day because you're my biggest supporter. And so appreciate you, Eric, for everything you say. Once again, phone number 402-464-5685. Austin.
Nick.
We got plenty of stuff to talk about
Always
today.
do.
We will not talk about MLB Major League Baseball for 30 minutes today.
Good, because I'm starting on the block with it.
Okay, good. How about that? We are, however, going to talk a little NBA. And before people freak out about, I don't want to have an NBA breakdown, the real conversation is we're going to have why do people not like the NBA anymore,
Mhm.
right? Because Jaylen Brown, who, by the way, is one of the NBA's most well-paid players, he is, if you want to go yearly salary, the highest paid player. He signed that 5-year, $304 million contract last year for the Boston Celtics. Jaylen Brown did. We're going to dive into that. Also, though, we have Huskers and Hoosiers to preview tonight as Nebraska, monumental road game ahead of them. And so we definitely want to make sure we spend enough time on that. And maybe we'll touch on a little Husker baseball as they get ready for a 4-game set against Grand Canyon down in Phoenix. I want to start with NBA, though, Austin, because there was a comment that Jaylen Brown made earlier this week that, by the way, just to give people a refresher, there's a threshold that the union and the NBA basically agreed upon after last season that, hey, to be considered for end of season rewards, you have to participate, you have to play in 65 of the 82 games in a regular season, right? So doesn't feel like that many, right? It doesn't feel like you still get to miss, if you need to, for load management purposes, 17 games. You can miss 17 games and still be considered for the end of season rewards or awards. Jaylen Brown over the week has said now that he believes that threshold, that mark, is too severe, is what Jaylen Brown said. And he believes that number should drop from 65 required games to 58 required games. So Jaylen Brown believes that NBA players should be allowed to play in just 58 of the 82 games while still being considered for end of season awards. Very strange, especially coming from a guy.
Jay Foreman.
Yeah,
doing a good
guy.
deed.
There he
Picking
goes.
up his
waving.
trash. Good job,
Look at him.
Jay.
He's waving by.
Number
He's
one
waving,
fan.
see you later. How about that? And somebody's just right behind him. But nonetheless, back to Jaylen Brown. You have a guy that now has signed for 5 years, $304 million. And he's speaking about how he wants to be able to play less. It's not a great look for the NBA.
It's really not. And let me start by saying, why would you not want to play in every game you possibly could? I think there are more guys out there that want to play 82 games. I think most stars understand their bodies, know when they need a day off. Like, hey, coach, I'm dragging. Coach, I'm a little sore. We've played 7 games in 13
Absolutely.
days. Can I have this one off? Right. I think most of the upper level guys are in tune with their bodies enough, understand what's at stake, understand the gig to ask for a day off if they need it, but they're more than happy to go out there and play. I don't think every NBA player and not every star is out there whining and looking for days off, right? Jaylen Brown, I want to give him some credit as being a thoughtful guy. I don't think he just threw a number out there. I think he thought about it. Right now, the 65 out of 82 to be eligible for awards is slightly over the 75% mark, or right at the 75% mark of games played, trending toward 80. 58 out of 82 would be right about that 68 to 70% range. So not a huge difference, but significant enough to be talking about. I want to give him some credit too, because I think the way the NBA has evolved from, the Iron Man sort of days is we know more about athlete bodies. We know just how much force they're putting on their legs. We know more about nutrition, how to better take care of themselves. So maybe, playing 82 games worked back then when guys weren't jumping as high. They weren't jumping as much. It was a slower paced game. Yeah, you'd have more bumps and bruises in a football style, but maybe you didn't have the same repeated force on the knees, on the ankles, stuff like that. So I think Jaylen Brown's argument comes from a place of, hey, we know more now. Maybe 82 games, maybe these requirements are something that need us to address. But then you think about the contract. 5 years, $304 million, richest in NBA history, playing on the top team in the East. Even if he has a point buried somewhere in there, it comes off as whiny. It comes off as, hey, I'm paid, now I want to do less. And no matter how well-intentioned it might be, it's a terrible look at the exact wrong time.
I would 100% agree with you. Now, this is all coming off of a weekend, an all-star game weekend that was not very good, right? We had the conversations on Monday throughout various shows where it was like the all-star game, you just don't find yourself intentionally making time out of your schedule and finding time to sit down and watch the NBA All-Star game.
Mm-hmm.
It's turned into a lot more of like a society where we love skill contests. We love the home run derby. We love maybe the skills competition in the NFL weekend. We love the slam dunk contest, the 3-point contest. I said it on Monday and I'll stand by it. The most exciting thing that happened this weekend was the Steph Curry versus Sabrina Ionescu matchup.
By far.
That was the thing that I was like, okay, I know this is tonight. I want to watch it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know maybe why that was. I think because of somebody that watched not only Sabrina in her WNBA days, but also remembering her back in college.
You are rocking the Liberty colors right now, Nick.
I am. Shout out to the baseball brand though. But nonetheless, knowing what Sabrina could do in college, more importantly at Oregon, being able to watch her square off against one of the best 3-point shooters in the game, and obviously conforming to kind of his rules or his basketball and the 3-point line and things like that, it made it interesting. And it was something different.
Mm-hmm.
I understand that there's always going to be those people that no matter what, they're going to love the slam dunk contest. No matter what, they're going to love the 3-point contest. But we talk about, and we said this on Monday on I think whether it was the happy hour or the drive, we talked about how you're craving for bigger names, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's cool the stories that come out with like Mac McClung, but you don't want to see Mac McClung. He's not going
Obi Toppin's brother.
Yeah, exactly. You want to see, and back in the 90s, it was Michael Jordan, right? And even back then, it was like Blake Griffin, who was who was in his prime with the Los Angeles Clippers, participating in the slam dunk contest. And you want to see, for example, guys like Steph Curry in the 3-point contest. So without that hurts not only All-Star game, but also then you piggyback that with these types of comments. It's a really, really bad look, I think, for the NBA, because you're sitting there saying, in a league where you're paying guys super max extensions, you're paying them millions and hundreds of millions of dollars, and they're openly admitting, hey, yeah, you know what? We don't want to play as many games as that are required. And it's not a great look.
It's not, because they're professional athletes, right? And they should have known to some degree what it was they signed up for.
Yeah.
The NBA schedule has been at 82 games for a long time now. You're not the first guys to play 82 games. You certainly won't be the last. This is where, again, I think it's going to take some collaboration. And I know that a lot of this is done in the CBA and behind the scenes.
Exactly.
But we might have to start having it out in public. You know, we might have to have some ugly fights to some degree between ownership and players to actually make some real progress. Because I think we'll just get these groups talking past each other, because there's a big part of me that says, suck it up and play every game you're available.
Yeah.
You know, it's not that hard. There are days you and I don't feel like going to work. Now, you and I aren't putting nearly as much stress on our bodies as pro athletes. But there are days you don't want to go to work. We get it. It happens. Suck it up. Get through it. Right. You're getting paid money to be at the top of your profession. But at the same time, if 82 games at this level of basketball, this level of physical exertion is more than NBA players have gone through in the past, which I don't know, which is why they need to do studies on it, then I would hope that the owners would be willing to, give up 8 games, right? 4 home and 4 road, play a 74-game schedule, whatever it is, however the math has to work. And maybe you'd have to charge more on a per game basis, kind of like NFL style. And MLB probably is cheapest tickets because there's 81 opportunities, then NBA with 41, and then the NFL with either 8 or 9. So you have to find the right price point for everyone, right? Because that's what it comes down to, Nick. It comes down to money. Jaylen Brown wants the most money while doing what he thinks is a fair amount of work for it. The owners want as many opportunities to get fans in their building, buying tickets, buying concessions, buying merchandise, and honestly, just knowing about the brand is a big deal too. So it's a constant struggle trying to find that right
It's the happy
amount
medium,
of dollars,
right,
for everyone.
Yeah, you're right. And I look at other leagues, right, because the NBA has had this issue, and there's been so many countless conversations about load management over the last couple of years. And while in the Major League Baseball, they don't necessarily put the amount of force into the floor as they would maybe in baseball, right? But you still suit up. You're at the ballpark 3 hours before first pitch, or you leave the ballpark a couple hours after, last pitch and the final out. But also in Major League Baseball, you're playing 162 games as an organization. And I think continuously now there's certain guys that whether it's suspensions, whether it's injuries, whether it's being on the IL, whatever the case may be, they have to sit out a certain amount of time. But I think also what's interesting is the way that the guys get back into baseball, right? Let's say you're on the disabled list or the injured list now they call it, and you have that opportunity when you're getting ready to come back to go down to AAA and go down to AA and get some rehab starts if you're a pitcher before you get back. So you can test your body out. They don't do that in the NBA. They can't send guys down to G League and then bring them back. So then it's kind of like this, I'm just throwing a name out there, Anthony Davis. Let's say Anthony Davis has a hamstring issue. He's ready to play once again, or he thinks his body's ready to play. He goes back out there, he hurts it again, and he's out for another 20 games.
Or he's fine the first day, he's playing 12 minutes. Okay, feels fine, goes out the next night, boom, it's
and so like you don't have that ability to kind of slowly bring yourself back, which
at game speed,
which then hurts not only the product of the NBA because fans are less inclined to maybe spend hundreds of dollars on tickets, and then also just watch on TV. And you talk about TV revenue, you talk about streaming services, talk about, do I want to buy NBA TV and be able to, great. It's great that I can watch every out of market game. But if the top, 7 players aren't going to play more than 60 games in a season, do I really want to? I'm not. I'm okay with it. And so it's that hurts itself. You look at like Major League Baseball. There's not only veterans playing 150 games a year. It's also young guys that are coming into the league. Bobby Witt played 158 last year. Big part of that's staying healthy. I understand that. And big part of that's your training and conditioning and things like that. But I also think being able to have guys go down for rehab starts and slowly progress and bring yourself back allows you to get back sooner.
Right. You can put guys out on assignment, right? You have a certain number of days or a certain number of games that they're allowed to play at the minor league level without, being penalized for it, without having to make the actual option to send them down or anything like that. I'm glad you went to baseball too, because not only did Jaylen Brown have comments, Anthony Rendon did.
You're right.
As well. Another big money guy. He signed back in 2020, a 7-year contract for $245 million. He's made $38 million. We made $38 million last year. He'll make $38 million again this year and then in 25 and 26. And what he said was baseball's never been a priority for him. It's about putting bread on the table for his family.
This is my job.
It's his job. And here's the thing. Again, he came at it from the aspect of baseball's never been number one in my life, right? He's a Christian. That was part of it is, my faith is my purpose. That's why I'm here. Baseball's my job. Admirable sentiment. I can get behind that. But the way he phrased it did a lot more harm than good. To say baseball's never been a priority gives the impression that he doesn't work hard in the offseason, gives the impression that, there's other things, maybe even outside of like his family that would come before baseball.
Yeah.
Because he's not, I'm just going to throw an example out there, not like in OBJ, who's known for the lavish lifestyle.
Exactly.
He's not on magazine covers. He's not, publicizing all these big trips and everything.
He also signed with a team that's not very good.
No,
in the Los Angeles Angels.
No, so I can completely understand a guy saying, "Hey, my faith comes first."
Yeah,
I can understand him saying that baseball's my job, but if there's a family conflict, I want to be sure I take care of my family first, right? But since baseball is my job, I'm working hard in the offseason to do this. I report to spring training a week early. Like Mike Trout did. We're here trying to set the example for guys. But when you just leave it at baseball's not a priority for me, and you've been injured, and you're getting paid this much money, and it's not the first time you've asked maybe for the schedule to be shortened, even if maybe the underlying point isn't as bad as the perception is the reality.
Exactly.
For another league that I thought made some really good strides last year in viewership and attendance and bringing fans back to the ballpark. Not that Anthony Rendon is like some big name star anymore, but he's a well enough known name that a comment like that from
World Series champion
makes a problem.
Yeah, he's a World Series champion as well. I completely agree. I think it's never going to be perfect across the board, right? And I don't know if there's a universal like agreed upon answer that, you know what, let's shorten the NBA season. Let's drop it down to 62 games. I'm just throwing a number out there, but is that number then going to say, well, to be considered for awards and bonuses and incentives, you have to play 55 of the 62 games. Well, that number I think is just then going to go down even more to say you only need to play in 48 games.
Yeah.
I thought this was an interesting statistic, and even though JJ Redick's been in the news for whatever reasons, however, for calling out Doc Rivers in the last 24 hours, he said something that was kind of interesting, that in terms of the NBA All-Stars, and I have my personal thoughts in the All-Star game. I'm sure people have their thoughts on like the home run derby. Everybody has their own opinion on it. But I thought these statistics, this factual information was really, really telling about where the NBA is today compared to 5, 6, 20 years ago, right? So 20 years ago, 92% of the All-Stars in the NBA played in more than 65 games.
So
in a regular
if
season.
there are 24
Yes.
All-Stars, that means 22 of them would be playing in that percentage.
That is absolutely correct. 6 years ago, there were 88%. So still, you had a pretty good hit rate on that number. Last year, in 2023, 59% of the NBA's All-Stars played in more than 65 games. You're talking about, once again, at the root of all of this, right? And bringing money and contracts and salaries, since it's all public and factual information, into it. Jaylen Brown, his comments, in a way, if you want to, I don't want to say twist them, but if you want to approach him from a certain angle, you could view it as saying, Jaylen Brown, you're saying that you want to be able to play 58 games out of an 82 season and still be able to win an MVP.
Yeah.
Like, that's the converse. That can be an angle of this conversation. That in playing, what would it be? 26, you'd miss 26% of your regular season games, and you could still be considered for an most valuable player award. It just doesn't seem realistic or something that's a really good look for a professional organization.
Because then the way my head goes is, okay, Jaylen Brown, let's say the NBA season goes down to 58 games. Are you willing to play in all 58 of them, barring injury?
Yeah.
No, because then you're going to want a day off, here or there too.
And understandably so. I'm not.
Right.
This is not a conversation for me and Austin where it's saying guys can't take days off.
No.
It's that over the course of time and over this, 20 years, but especially over the last 10.
But think about the NBA has
gotten
changed in 20
worse.
years.
It has. It certainly has. And like you said at the start of this conversation, we know so much more about the sports science, about medicine, everything. But also in part of that, rehab. You've learned more about how to get guys back quicker.
Nutrition.
ACL injuries aren't taking nearly as long of an amount of time to come back from. And guys are having better results post-surgery and post-operation than they were 20 years ago.
Tommy John.
Yes. And so while everything has evolved, you're hearing this sentiment in the NBA specifically that guys want to play less and less. And for fans and consumers of the sport, that's not something that you want to hear.
No.
Because prices are going up, subscriptions, TV deals, ticket prices, concession stand prices, parking prices, everything's skyrocketing. And you don't know up until that night for sure if that guy's going to play.
Yeah.
And you can use this towards baseball. I walked into Kauffman Stadium last year ahead of a Royals Twins game about 3 quarters of the way into the season, going, man, I just hope Bobby Witt plays. I hope this guy plays. I hope I can see him. Because if you don't, that's why a lot of times people go to games, is to see specific players. And a lot of times those players are going to be the ones that are highest paid. And now the NBA has their highest paid player at 5 years, $304 million, and Jaylen Brown saying, I want to be able to play 7 fewer games and still be considered for an end of season award.
It's such a good thing that the players are seeing more and more of the revenue, right? I get it. Some of it's inflation. I know that they go back and forth between the players getting X percentage and the owners getting X percentage of total NBA revenue, right? That's how the salary cap is figured out. That's why it's there, right? Or the salary floor especially, right? But I almost wonder if it's the explosion in revenue that's led to this.
You're right.
Right? Because guys before, not that they weren't making good money, better money than, office jobs or whatever else, but it wasn't such good money. They weren't living such lavish lifestyles that they weren't as scared to play all those games, right? In some way, it just feels like there's a lot less willingness to take the risk inherent in athletics to some degree in this generation of athletes. I say this generation, not like our generation, but the guys that are, 5-10 years older than you and I are, Nick, because every time you step out onto a court, a field, a floor of any sort for an athletic reason, there's a chance you're going to get hurt.
Absolutely.
That's just inherent in the game. We don't wish for it. We don't root for it, no matter if it's on your favorite team or your least favorite team. But by donning the uniform, by saying you're going to be a professional athlete, by going through the work that's involved in that, there's risk.
Yeah.
There's risk in getting in the weight room. Trust me, I know. Busted my finger in the weight room, right? It was innocent, but
there it is, Austin.
There's risk anywhere.
Yeah.
How many baseball injuries do we see where guys blow their back out sneezing?
Yeah.
Crap happens, right? Most of me says, stop being scared. If you're doing the right processes, if you're taking care of your body and the team is putting its best foot forward in your rehab, in your recovery, in your nutrition, the least you can do in rewarding their efforts is be out there, put your best foot forward, do everything you can to play.
And it's so interesting, right? Because you look at and it's easy to compare or have this discussion surrounding Patrick Mahomes, right?
Yeah.
Because, and you can have your opinions on he's a whiner, he gets all the calls, whatever, take that aside, right? The fact of the matter is that he's been able to stay healthy throughout his entire 7-year career for the most part. He's had some sprained ankles, he's had some twisted ankles that he's come back from rather quickly and quicker than anybody else has, and been able to play at his level as well. But it's also fascinating because if you watch documentaries and if you read on just the way Patrick Mahomes takes care of his body, he twists and turns and bends and folds in all these ways that you would never think to consider while playing a sport. Now, obviously, football is special in a way because you never know which direction your body's going to get laid out in, right? However, don't forget, it just happened this postseason where Patrick Mahomes gets bent over backwards, his knees get held below some other guy's body, and he completely goes back, bounces right up, and he's ready to go.
The man missed 2 weeks with a dislocated kneecap.
And it's incredible because then you have his trainer tweet out, this is why we prepare the way we do. It's because when you can take care of your body, you provide not only more value to yourself, but also to your team, to the organization, and to the fan base. And all of that stuff matters. Maybe some things fall as a higher priority to some guys, and I'm sure the individual value plays a factor. But especially if you're in a contract year, why are you not playing? Oh, why would you?
Well, no, that's when guys do play.
That's true. Contract years, you do play. And then you sign these massive deals and it's back to, I'm good. I'm okay. I'm content just chilling for a while. And that's not a good look for professional sports across the board. It happens all over in all leagues, but most notably, as we know, in the NBA. It's funny that you talked about injuries and the part of the game, because in the final segment, I do want to dive into some Major League Baseball, because we did not get to talk about in our conversation yesterday, Steven Strasburg. Steven Strasburg is being asked to report to spring training. He's essentially retired, but he hasn't officially retired with the Nationals because then he has to forfeit all the money. And he's got a pretty hefty contract. The Nationals also chose not to opt into an insurance policy with him. And so they are just on the hook for this money, and they want him to report to spring training. The dude's not pitching this year. He's done. He's done. He was basically a hero for the Nationals as well. Got him to a World Series, helped him out in 2019. And now they're trying to somewhat take advantage of him, force him to report to spring training when he's not going to play at all. He's basically done. So they're at a standstill. We'll see what happens. So I do want to dive into that just a little bit more in the final segment. But first, we need to talk Husker hoops, because after Creighton's win last night, after a couple of other matchups that happened, Texas A&M lost, Butler lost. Those are a couple teams on the bubble, just an FYI. Nebraska also on the bubble, and they have a big road one against Indiana tonight at 7:30 p.m. The tip-off is scheduled for that. And so Austin and I will talk about that coming up next. You're listening to the Happy Hour. Thanks to Empire Fence and Netting for their support as always. And we'll be right back. You're listening to the Happy Hour, 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Follow Nick and Enrique on Twitter at Nick_Sainert and at Radio Rico AC. More of Happy Hour is next on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Hello, everybody. It's Charlie Stone, and here with me is Andy Goodyear of Honda of Lincoln. Andy, I hear that new Honda manufacturing continues to go up, and you have new Hondas in stock now.
That's correct, Charlie. We have more than 40 new Hondas in stock right now. It's great that a customer can come in and buy a new Honda and drive it home that day. New Honda inventory keeps getting better each month.
Okay, then. How about used cars, Andy?
We have more than 100 pre-owned vehicles to choose from right now, and a lot of fresh trade-ins are coming in daily. We have just about every maker model you can imagine in any price range.
Thanks again, Andy. People love the selection and great service at Honda of Lincoln. Maybe it's time you come experience the Honda of Lincoln way of doing business. 27th and Yankee Hill, or online at hondaoflincoln.com.
A team succeeds when they work together. Banking's no different. At UBT, we're in your corner for every financial move you want to make. Your money's backed by a roster of experts who put in the work to know you and your community. So whether you're opening a savings account, buying a home, or planning your future, you always know who to turn to. Working together toward your financial goals. That's a win in our playbook. Union Bank and Trust. Equal housing lender, member FDIC.
Your home is your empire. Protect it with Empire Fence. Get a free instant quote with the online estimating tool at empire-fence.com. See an upfront estimate with no hidden fees. An Empire Fence can provide privacy and improve the appearance of your home. Keep kids and pets in or out of your yard. Increase security and add value to your property. Visit empire-fence.com now to view the stylish and maintenance-free possibilities for your home and get a free instant online quote. Let Empire Fence protect your empire.
Ready to upgrade your combine in 2024? The team at Landmark Implement is here to help find the right combine to fit your operations needs. Choose from 4.5% for up to 60 months or a 12-month interest waiver, followed by John Deere financial rates with approved credit through the end of February. When you purchased a pre-owned S or X Series combine from Landmark, know you are backed by Landmark's extensive parts and service network with mobile techs and parts drop-off points to keep you up and running. View our current inventory online at landmarkimp.com or stop by your local Landmark to experience the Landmark difference.
In every office, there's two types of people. There are those who bring in bagels and those who eat the bagels that someone else brought in. Everybody likes the first person. Be that first person. Weekday mornings at 7:30, you have a chance to win a business box of bagels from Bagels & Joe. All you have to do is shut up, Sipple. 2 questions for you, 2 for Sip. Win, and the bagels are yours. Lose, well, you don't want to lose.
You lost Monday. You lost Wednesday. You're a loser.
Shut up, Sipple. Weekday mornings at 7:30, brought to you by Bagels & Joe. Finally, a good reason to have a smart house. Just say, Alexa, play 93.7 The Ticket, and we'll magically start playing. How's it work? Nobody knows. Don't ask questions.
John Henry's has a brand new membership club to protect your entire home in one program. With a VIP and a deluxe option, we will help you find the plan that best fits your needs. Receive discounts on services and equipment, priority service, complimentary inspections, and so much more. Protect your home's plumbing, heating, cooling, and electrical systems all in one membership. Call John Henry's to learn more.
435-5555. John Henry's Plumbing, Heating and Air.
And electrical.
The Omaha Supernovas are back in action this Wednesday, February 21st versus the Columbus Fury at the Nationwide Arena in Columbus. The Mullen Motors pregame show with Derek Pearson and Renee Saunders starts at 5 p.m. with first serve at 6. Make sure to tune in to the next Ag Appraisal and Realty postgame show right after the match ends. Catch all the action on your flagship station, 93.7 The Ticket, and statewide on the Supernovas Radio Network.
A wise nation honors and learns from its past. I'm Jenny Benson, president of the Nebraska State Education Association. February is Black History Month, a celebration of the contributions that African Americans have made to American history in their struggles for freedom and equality. Knowledge is our strongest tool against injustice. Sponsored by the Nebraska State Education Association, aired in cooperation with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Ever wish you had another light switch on the other side of the room on a dark night? How much better would you sleep at night if you had a ceiling fan in your room? The High Electric Service Department is here to make your electrical what-ifs a reality. Whether you're looking to replace some outdated light fixtures or brighten up your counters with under-cabinet lighting, High Electric can handle all types of residential electrical installations and services. Give Erica a call at 402-466-6606 or visit high-electric.com to get started. Attention all Wings fans! 89-cent wings are back on Tuesdays at Buffalo Wings and Rings in Lincoln. Enjoy the best wings in town for boneless or traditional at a price that makes the whole family happy. And now at the Williamsburg Village Wings and Rings, you can enjoy $1.50 tall boys in Bud Light, Coors Light, Busch Light, and Michelob Ultra every day after 7 p.m. and all day on Sundays. Get to Wings and Rings today and make sure to stop by on Tuesdays for 89-cent wings.
Hog Wild's giant stuffed baked potatoes are anything but basic and really hit the spot when you're craving a little comfort food. Nothing is more satisfying than a Hog Wild baked potato loaded with butter, sour cream, cheddar cheese, bacon bits, and chives. Add your choice of a Hog Wild house-smoked meat like pulled pork, chicken, or brisket for a little extra. Order online at GoHogWild.com. Hog Wild Pit Barbecue, 3210 Cornhusker Highway in Lincoln.
But don't be late, we close at 8.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Sponsored by John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning.
Your Lincoln forecast for today, expecting mainly sunny skies to go along with calm winds and very mild temperatures. We'll see a high around 69. Tonight, mainly cloudy with a low around 41. And tomorrow, mostly sunny skies. It will be breezy, though, and cooler with the high around 59. I'm meteorologist Kyle Tucker from 93.7 Ticket and theticketfm.com.
You're listening to the Happy Hour with Nick Sainert.
I believe you people.
And Enrique Alvarez Clary.
What do you mean, you people? What do you mean, you people?
Sponsored by Empire Fence and Netting on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
That's right. We're back here on the Happy Hour 93.7 The Ticket, theticketfm.com. Nick Sainert, Austin Orman with you. 402-464-5685. The Honda of Lincoln hotline and the Starter Heyman text line are open the rest of the way here, as well as the Starter Heyman Jewelers live video stream, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and Allo Channel 951. Or 961, excuse me. I was talking earlier. It's incredible that we still call Twitter. Like, they went through this whole rebrand and they've tried so hard to make it X, and it's just never going to be X.
No.
It's always going to be Twitter. I think if Elon
It's always the Quest Center to me too.
Oh, Quest Center. Nice.
Yeah.
Because it was Quest and then CenturyLink.
Mm-hmm.
Then it turned to CHI.
Yeah. Quest Center.
I think the place that's most like that for me would be TD Ameritrade.
Sure.
Not Charles Schwab. I'm out. I'm out on Charles Schwab.
The bank, not the Schwab, not the Chuck.
It's the Schwab.
It's the Chuck, but
nah. Everybody says, and that's one of the biggest arguments that I have with Rico every College World Series time, is that it needs to be called or referenced as the Schwab, but not the Chuck. Everybody says Chuck. Everybody likes Chuck a lot more. I think the Schwab sounds a lot cooler.
It's neither is the correct answer is the thing.
It needs to just be. Anyway.
So I don't know about your significant other, if she's a big sports person or not.
Yeah, I mean, she'll like watch. I've gotten her into more sports.
Okay, I kind of haven't fought that fight yet.
Okay.
Where Olivia and I will go to games and she'll watch. And it's okay to be on in the background. She's not going to be into it. And she'll probably change it away as soon as I leave, if that's your choice.
Absolutely.
But the one hill that she will die on when it comes to sports is anytime a place changes its name, she gets upset.
Okay.
Like, she is so mad at the suits and the corporate people that they're shills and they sell their souls to change the names of their stadiums, keep it the same.
I
that
like
is
that
her
take. I like that take a lot. I'm a big fan with that. No, my girlfriend, she's fine. She'll turn the TV. She's okay with sports. I think a lot of it is they just aren't super knowledgeable on the topic. And so if they know what's going on, and I'll explain like a situation to her, and then she'll be interested. But I think she doesn't know what's going on all the time in certain situations, right? Like, this is not like an accurate, like something that actually happened. But for example, why did they just get to shoot free throws 1-on-1 after the 7th team foul? Why, but not on the 6th? Why is that the case? Walking through like those hypothetical situations that, like, when I'm teaching somebody about basketball, it's like, yeah, this is the case. You don't think about that until it's out there.
And that's where I think the beauty of this job and the eternal struggle that we have is to try to make sports approachable.
Yeah.
For those people, where I know one of my biggest weaknesses and downfalls is, as a numbers guy and as someone who's been involved in it for so long, is to kind of raise that barrier for entry.
Yeah.
And that's not the point of sports, right? Anyone should be able to walk into a baseball game and enjoy themselves, even if they have no clue what's going on. People should be able to recognize the athleticism in a basketball game, the speed and the hard hits of a football game without having to know all the rules. And that's where I think for my wife, sometimes she feels like there's that barrier to entry where I hope I don't come across as expecting her to know everything about the game all the time. Like, she doesn't have to know everything to watch a game with me. And I try to keep telling her that. But with that, or even like the Marvel movies were another thing, right? Like, my family went to all of them when they came out. She would go with us because she liked one of the movies and popcorn and whatnot. Have no clue what's going on. But it wasn't always her favorite thing because she feels like she missed so much and feels like she has to get caught up with everything before she gets there. So that, I think, is our challenge in sports, is how do we talk about it at a high level while keeping the barrier for entry into the conversation low?
That's a good point, because I think, like, on this conversation, and this is not just like with significant others, but it's easy to talk about with them. Is like, I think my girlfriend's like a big atmosphere person, and I'm completely fine with that. Like, she loves
big troposphere.
She loves to go to baseball games, to be in the atmosphere of a baseball game. I'm there for the purpose of watching baseball, and I have zero issue if it's 1-0. I have zero issue with it. She would like a 6-5 ball game. When we went to the Royals Twins game last July, we went with actually Nathan Brennan and his girlfriend. And when we were down there, and the two girls did not enjoy it because it was so high scoring that it took longer. And so it was like a 12-9 ball game that day. And it was Jordan Lyles' first win, by the way. Nonetheless,
I'm glad you made his money off that.
Yeah, Jordan Lyles' first win. But no, so like me and Nate were just chilling down there, but we would be fine if it was a 1-0 game. We'd be fine if it was 4-3, but we'd also be fine if it was 12-9. We're there for the baseball. They were there for the atmosphere, and then it can drag on, I think, at times too.
Right. One of the biggest I don't say fights. It wasn't really a fight. We're still together. Obviously, I slept in the bed that night, but got free tickets to a Storm Chasers game.
Okay.
Pretty big deal.
Yeah.
Right. That were pretty cool. So we went.
Well, it's high level baseball that people forget about.
Right.
People forget that there's a AAA team. Like, and we're blessed with the Salt Dogs because it's a very family family oriented and welcoming environment, the Salt Dogs. But there's some really high level baseball going on just 30 minutes away now.
Right. And this would have been last summer. So Olivia was pregnant. Right. To not all the way, obviously. So had some months to go. And she was still big about her bedtime. Right. Okay. She's mature. She can handle it. But she was tired. She had a long couple days. Didn't want to be out of the baseball game the whole time.
Yeah.
In my head, it's you agreed to go to a baseball game. Baseball games are 9 innings long.
Don't leave early.
The game is still in doubt. It's like a 2-3 run game. Anything can happen. And she, like, 5th, 6th inning rolls around. Hey, I'm tired. I want to go home.
She's ready to pack it up.
Yeah. And I'm like, no, it's a 9-inning game. And if we would have driven separately, it would have been one thing, but we drove up with other people, so it made them leave. So I'm like, we don't know if they wanted to leave. Yeah. Right. So I felt bad. But then it's like, well, she's my wife. She's pregnant. You know, I know it's not her favorite thing. She has no attachment to any of these teams. So
she doesn't know that there's a big prospect playing on the other team.
Right.
Like, I mean, it's so disappointing because I would tell Kyle, I would tell my girlfriend, I'd be like, hey, guess what? So we went to the Iowa Cubs one. I was like, hey, so the Cubs #1 prospect's playing. That's why we're here tonight. Pete Crow Armstrong. She's like, oh, that's cool. And I can just tell she does not give a
Where's
crap.
The lemonade?
And I'm just like, dang, I just want you to like it. I want you to be interested. It's like I am. But then it reminds you, hey, okay, she doesn't know what the prospects are or what prospects are or anything like that, which is okay. All right, let's get back to the conversation
so Husker basketball
that we were planning to have today. Nebraska basketball. getting ready for a big one against the Indiana Hoosiers tonight. 7:30 tip-off out there at Assembly Hall. And I think, like, honestly, over the course of the week, and I told you this, Austin, and I don't have any reason or like true things to back this up on. I just feel like as this week's gone on, more so than other times, I've felt like this is just such an important game. And the magnitude of this game, in my eyes, has increased for whatever reason over the course of Monday, Tuesday, and now Wednesday, that I'm like sitting there going, man, Nebraska really needs to win this game. Maybe it's because I believe there's some separation that they'd be able to gain if they win this one. I think if they lose it, it's still pretty dicey just in the future, right? It puts more pressure on the remaining 4 games. But I also am like sitting here going, man, the opportunity for separation, which, yes, you could point to that at every, ahead of every single road game this season. But I'm like, man, tonight it really feels like there's a chance for Nebraska to maybe gain some separation, not only in the NCAA tournament discussion, but just talking about the Big Ten tournament seeding.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. I think part of that heightened sense of urgency is we're here on game day, and it always feels bigger to some degree. But I think as we've seen how Michigan and Ohio State have done over the last few days, I know that Ohio State beat Purdue. That's a big deal for them. But they also just fired their coach. It feels like that was kind of their last gasp, and they're pretty much done for the year. Michigan is going to keep being Michigan. This is the last road opportunity that will mean even a little something, right? Not that Indiana's great, but Indiana hasn't ever been bad this year, right? It's not like they were down in the dumps, they're ascendant, and then they're cooling back off. Now, Indiana's just kind of been what they are all year. So I think since we're on game day, we know that Indiana has some talented pieces. We look at it and say, the other 2 road games aren't good. So if Nebraska is going to win a road game that means something, it has to be this one.
Yeah.
Doesn't help you a lot. Could still hurt you with the loss. I think we saw Indiana really climb back from the ranks of the dead against Northwestern and make that a game late, closer than Nebraska got to Northwestern on the road. So we know that they can be dangerous, that they have that kind of spurt ability to some degree. And also just, if you win this one, you feel better about the next 2 road games.
Absolutely.
Better to prove it to yourself with, this being your 3rd to last road game. Better to prove it to yourself with 2 opportunities after this one than be hoping and praying by the time you get to Michigan to end the regular season that maybe this is the day that Nebraska finally gets one done on the road.
Well, and you look at, Nebraska here. So according to, I go off of WarrenNolan.com and looking at their net rankings, right? Because it's such an important statistic in everybody's eyes. Nebraska currently 47th in the RPI and also 47th in the net. So if you want to strictly look at, okay, they take the top 64 teams, which isn't always factual because you have lower seeds making the NCAA tournament by winning the conference championship. But you feel good about Nebraska's chances. And this is where I go back to, okay, you have a chance for some separation here. Indiana is going to be, I would assume, a quad 2 type of game, either a quad 1 or a quad 2 game. And because it also depends on how Indiana finishes out.
Yeah.
But this is an Indiana team that you had Kello Ware, who comes off of a double-double, even though in a loss. You had Mbako, who came off of having double-digit points, even though he's not their leading scorer, and that's Malik Renew is their leading scorer. This is also a team that plays like everybody else, plays better at home than they did on the road. Nebraska beat them by 16, I believe, back when they played Indiana at Pinnacle Bank Arena. I look at this as though Nebraska here, you were at 1.3-3 in quad 1 games. In total, you were at 1.6-6 in quad 1 and quad 2 games, which is a pretty, that's a pretty successful mark, especially when you're a program like Nebraska. You've done your job against quad 3 and quad 4 teams. You're 12-0 against those programs, but figure out a way to continue boosting that quad 1 and quad 2 number. Because a lot of times, especially once Selection Sunday comes and rolls around in a few weeks here, they kind of clump the quad 1 and quad 2 games together. They don't necessarily look at them as a separate entity. They look at them together. So how was Nebraska in quad 1 and 2 games combined? How was Butler in quad 1 and quad 2 combined? A&M, same thing. They don't look
and then
at
if it comes down to those teams, that's when they separate it out. How many of those were against quad 1? How many were quad 2?
I think, though, like Nebraska, though, that's why even if it is a quad 2 game, it matters a ton. Nebraska might not get their net boosted a ton with a victory tonight, but it also, number one, keeps you from falling back. Number two, it gets the monkey off your back, or that narrative of we can't win on the road. I think it's also this mental block that Nebraska probably has for just games on the road. And then when it's all said and done, talking about the NCAA tournament conversation, when you are at Selection Sunday, and if the committee's looking at that, you have this Indiana win in your back pocket.
Yeah.
I think it's a culmination of all of it. Nebraska, got to limit the turnovers. It's the same thing every single night. Shoot well at the free throw line, limit the turnovers, and figure out a way to...
And rebound.
Yeah, rebound, right? Especially with Kello Ware down low, who's now fully healthy. Figure out a way to rebound. This is a game where I feel like Juwan Gary might be able to have some rebounds, right? From that guard forward position, where if Nebraska does play a little smaller, let's say in a situation or a time when Kellel is out, Kellel Ware is not in the game for Indiana, that's where like a guy like Juwan Gary or Bryce Williams too, they need to be able to rebound from that guard position just to get Nebraska also out in transition early on.
The matchup that I'm going to be watching is the Nebraska offense versus whoever, or Nebraska offense versus Trey Galloway.
Yep.
Whoever Trey Galloway is guarding, I think Nebraska goes at. He started on Casey last game. Casey went off early. That was huge. Now that Trey Galloway is not an okay enough player, but he's not that quick to go all Rick Pitino. He's not quick laterally.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't work that way. He's not the fastest guy, not the biggest guy. So I think Nebraska's matchup is targeting him. If he starts on Bryce Williams, Bryce, go to work in the mid-range. If he starts on Casey, run him off a lot of screens. If for some reason they try to hide him on Josiah Alec because you're worried about the guards exposing it, well, then Nebraska does what it does to start the last few games that Josiah started.
Yep.
Look inside to him early. So Nebraska has ways to target Indiana's weaknesses on defense. Then it comes down to, I think, either Gary or Alec on Renault on the defensive end. He's enough of a threat that I think you want an athletic enough guy on him to deter him from that. And then, not that Rink Mass needs a lot of help with Khalil Ware, but enough, right? Rink Mass isn't the only one that should be getting a body on him when the ball goes up, right? Someone else step in front of him, hit him with a little forearm on your way by, something, anything, to make sure that he feels you. He's a big guy. He's athletic. And I say he's not tough, but he's just not that strong. I think Nebraska can wear him down by the end of the game.
I would agree with you there. Once again, tip off for that one, 7:30 p.m. Plenty more analysis and breaking down of that game coming up, I'm sure, on the block with Strick and Austin. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, we'll bring in, I would assume Strick might join for the crossover once again. But if not, either way, we're going to talk a little Major League Baseball as Steven Strasburg is being not forced, but kind of expected to attend spring training this year, but he's not going to pitch a single inning. The Nationals want him there as a mentor. He's still technically under contract, hasn't officially retired, but everybody kind of knows, yeah, you're done. Your career's over. I don't think Steven Strasburg really wants to attend spring training. So with that, we'll go ahead and take our final timeout. When we return, we'll cross things over with Stricky, who just jumped into the stream. And so we'll talk to the Husker Hall of Famer when we return. You're listening to the Happy Hour on 93.7 The Ticket.
Download our app by searching 93.7 The Ticket in your app store to stay in touch and listen all day long wherever you are. More of the Happy Hour is next on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Hog Wild's giant stuffed baked potatoes are anything but basic and really hit the spot when you're craving a little comfort food. Nothing is more satisfying than a Hog Wild baked potato loaded with butter, sour cream, cheddar cheese, bacon bits, and chives. Add your choice of a Hog Wild house smoked meat like pulled pork, chicken, or brisket for a little extra. Order online at GoHogWild.com. Hog Wild Pit Barbecue, 3210 Cornhusker Highway in Lincoln.
But don't be late, we close at 8.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Sponsored by John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning.
The Lincoln forecast for today, expecting mainly sunny skies to go along with calm winds and very mild temperatures. We'll see a high around 69. Tonight, mainly cloudy with a low around 41. And tomorrow, mostly sunny skies. It will be breezy, though, and cooler with the high around 59. I'm meteorologist Kyle Tucker from 93.7 Ticket and theticketfm.com.
In every office, there's two types of people. There are those who bring in bagels and those who eat the bagels that someone else brought in. Everybody likes the first person. Be that first person. Weekday mornings at 7:30, you have a chance to win a business box of bagels from Bagels & Joe. All you have to do is shut up, Sipple. 2 questions for you, 2 for Sip. Win, and the bagels are yours. Lose, well, you don't want to lose.
You lost Monday. You lost Wednesday. You're a loser.
Shut up, Sipple. Weekday mornings at 7:30, brought to you by Bagels & Joe.
Integrated Life Choices has been inspiring opportunities for individuals with disabilities for more than 15 years in Lincoln and across Nebraska by offering a number of services. From group homes to independent living resources and job training, you'll find the support that allows people to live fulfilling lives. They're also hiring. If you're looking for a rewarding career supporting people with developmental disabilities, you can check out open positions along with learning more about services at ilc.net. Integrated Life Choices. The Omaha Supernovas are back in action this Wednesday, February 21st versus the Columbus Fury at the Nationwide Arena in Columbus. The Mullen Motors pregame show with Derek Pearson and Renee Saunders starts at 5 p.m. with first serve at 6. Make sure to tune in to the next Ag Appraisal and Realty postgame show right after the match ends. Catch all the action on your flagship station, 93.7 The Ticket, and statewide on the Supernovas Radio Network.
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Koppel Chevrolet GMC, and we have some really big savings for you right now. Our new crossover sale is underway. New Terrains, Equinoxes, and Trailblazers starting at $23,290. That's right, $23,290. Also, we've continued our huge Sierra and Silverado truck sale with over $10,000 off new pickups. You heard right, over $10,000 off list. Koppel truly has a small town feel with big city deals. We're right down 144th Street or at KoppelCars.com. Stock numbers G260980 and C119824.
For Sean Jackson, the captain here, for the Body Shop. And man, did they hook me up with a great massage recently. The captain has a lot of stress in his life, as many people do. And for 1 hour, it was all relief. The team at the Body Shop gave me a deep tissue massage that hit every area that I was in pain at. Whether you're looking for a Swedish massage, sports massage, deep tissue, hot stone, aroma, or more, there's only one place to go. The Body Shop at 48th NA. Book an appointment today at thebodyshoplincoln.com.
If you want all the latest technologies from those big banks, but you also want that hometown feel when you walk in the front doors, choose Midwest Bank. They have top-notch technology. They make banking so easy, and they also have the friendliest staff who will take their time to get to know you and treat you like family. You get the best of both worlds when you choose Midwest Bank. I live on the go, and now I can bank on the go. With Midwest Bank, I have everything I need at my fingertips. I'm volleyball player Allie Batenhorst, and at Midwest Bank, you'll love banking here.
Finally, a good reason to have a smart house. Just say, Alexa, play 93.7 The Ticket, and we'll magically start playing. How's it work? Nobody knows. Don't ask questions.
If you're in Seward or Milford, listen up. Select Plumbing is now servicing your area with no trip charges from Lincoln. Select Plumbing works on a variety of issues for your home and business, including general plumbing, water heaters, faucet and fixture repair, underground sewer and water repairs, backflow testing, and more. Keep your property free from leaks and other issues. Call today for a free estimate, 402-560-6197. It's not just Lincoln, Waverly, and the surrounding area anymore. It's also Seward and Milford with no trip charges. Contact Select Plumbing to inquire at 402-560-6197.
Your home is your empire. Protect it with Empire Fence. Get a free instant quote with the online estimating tool at empire-fence.com. See an upfront estimate with no hidden fees. An Empire Fence can provide privacy and improve the appearance of your home. Keep kids and pets in or out of your yard. Increase security and add value to your property. Visit empire-fence.com now to view the stylish and maintenance-free possibilities for your home and get a free instant online quote. Let Empire Fence protect your empire.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet. KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. You're listening to the Happy Hour with Nick Sainert.
Look at him and tell me there's a God.
And Enrique Alvarez Clary.
He made me in his own image.
Sponsored by Empire Fence and Netting on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back into the happy hour, 93.7 The Ticket, theticketfm.com. Nick Sainert, Austin Orman, and now Eric Strickland joining us. Stricky, what's happening, my man? Stricky is not paying attention. All right. Once again, we're now he's putting Stricky, there you are. With us? There you are.
Earth is Stricky.
My bad. I was checking out something. It's all good. What's going on, fellas?
What's up, Stricky? How's life treating you?
I'm all right. My bad. It's good. It's Wednesday, man. It's workout Wednesday.
You're showing that Nebraska road focus. What are you doing? Come on, man.
I know, right? We got to, and that's what it felt like just a second ago. But hey, I snapped back real quick.
There you go. We're back. One thing I should mention, and Big Bird pointed on the text line, Nebraska opened actually as a 1.5 point favorite against the Hoosiers. They've now not closed, but they've now swayed over to a 1.5 point underdog against the Indiana Hoosiers. So it's essentially a pick 'em. I mean, it's probably going to be a pretty even game. You would hope, right? You hope that no matter what, Nebraska stays competitive in this one. Stricky, I want to get your points here or thoughts on this one, especially because MLB fans might remember the name Steven Strasburg. Hasn't pitched in a game in the MLB since June of 2022. So he's been out for quite a while. He's had plenty of arm injuries, some arm issues, and just injury issues. However, how about this? The team approached Strasburg last year about retiring, and plans for a press conference were far enough along that the team had a tentative September date for the press conference. But then it fell apart because ownership wanted Steven Strasburg, who is in the middle of his $245 million guaranteed contract, to change the deal's terms to benefit the organization. So with that, now Strasburg, who is still a part of the team, essentially retired, just not officially because he doesn't want to restructure his deal and he doesn't want to forfeit all the money, is now being expected to attend spring training this spring with the Washington Nationals. Don't forget everything that Strasburg has done also for the Nationals, because he helped them to a World Series in 2019. And in addition to that, when they knew Strasburg has had all these injury problems, and they chose not to take an insurance policy out on Steven Strasburg. So now they're on the hook for $245 million. Strasburg wants all of it, and I don't blame him. He is not going to pitch ever again. But now the Nationals want him to report to spring training. A bizarre situation.
I think I should address this first because Austin is very adept in the baseball realm. I know some stuff, but you're still very adept in it. I will say this, that okay, I'm gonna take two angles from it. One is this. The first angle is businesses make decisions on who they're going to hire, fire, what their salary is going to be. All of those are going to account. So when you present yourself and you sit down in front of a company and you present who you are, what you offer to the organization, they then determine your value as you presented your value to them, right? Strasburg has presented his value, but it's up to the business to do diligence or to cover themselves or protect themselves from whatever litigation or bad contract signing. That's their responsibility. Like you just said, Nick, it is their responsibility to look after the business model by insuring themselves, knowing what they were getting into. It's like, somebody comes in and they report they have injuries or they have injury prone and all of these situations. That's not up to him to protect himself from you. That's for you to protect yourself from potentials of what could happen in the future.
Well, and to this point, before I let you go, Austin, I just more info and context with the insurance policy. The reason this is so big is when they went to re-sign Steven Strasburg, that once again, they signed him to the 7-year, whatever it was, I have to find the 7-year, $245 million contract before 2020. He's owed $35 million annually over the next 3 seasons. However, ownership obviously wants to defer that money. He's already owed like an outrageous amount of deferred money. It's something like 70 million, I believe, in deferred, or excuse me, he's already owed 80 million in deferred money from 2027 to 2029, because similar to Shohei, it allows them to then, if they defer the money, to sign more free agents, right? And the Nats aren't going to be a playoff contending team this year, or at least a World Series contending team this year. But this is what's so crazy about that 7-year, $245 million deal, is that with his injury problems, that's why they didn't take out the insurance, because the premiums on the insurance policy with his history of injuries were going to be astronomically high.
Probably at least the value of the contract.
Absolutely.
So they bet.
Exactly.
And they made a bet and lost.
And so, but if they would have taken the premiums or the policy and they would have gotten it, then the insurance companies probably would have paid part of that contract and the Nats would have been able to stomach the rest of the deal. But now here they are, because of a kind of surprising contract that they already agreed to back in 2020 of 7 years, 245. And then on top of that, you don't get the insurance with it. And now you find yourself just 4 short years later saying we're paying $35 million a year to this guy. And we know for a fact he's not going to pitch. On top of that, you want him to come to spring training and mentor young players. The dude's a shy dude. He's not what you want out of a coach and a mentor, no matter how much success he's had.
Austin, real quick, Austin. The way you could have structured that deal potentially, right? You could have had some clauses in it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Even if you didn't take out the insurance policy, protect yourself with a clause. A clause, 3 years of it is guaranteed. If you pitch a certain amount of time, then you'll get the 4th year. And if by any means or by any situation your injuries don't allow you to do so, then that money comes back to us and we'll pay you the deferred, and then you relinquish some of your deferred because you didn't fulfill the clause. There's just I don't know specifically, but that's part of what I would have done.
I don't blame Strasburg for wanting it. Get your money, dude.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Austin.
Yes and yes. I think there's a progression to this. First of all, if you're under contract, show up, I think is the simple answer, right? Is Steven Strasburg doing everything in his power to make himself available, or is he ready to be done with baseball? That'd be the question. Sounds like he's ready to be done, right? Maybe the Nationals are saying, hey, you agreed to this and we agreed to this. You have more years left. Come to spring training. We won't make you the ace. We won't expect number 1 starter innings out of you. You can be our long man. You can be our 6th, 7th inning guy if we absolutely need you. Just to show us you're making an effort to come back and play. Steven Strasburg says, nope, I'm done. I don't want to play baseball anymore. I'm sorry, because of my injuries. Rehab has taken a toll on me. I don't want to put my body and my family through this again. It's at that point the Nationals should say, shoot, are you sure? Strasburg says, yeah, I think I'm done. Thanks, guys. Okay, let's work this out.
Yeah.
That's settlement, right? That's what's been protocol across Major League Baseball history, is if a guy retires in the middle of his contract, the team, the player, or the team and the agent get together, they negotiate that settlement, right? Because, Steven Strasburg did agree to X number of years, but the Nationals agreed to X amount of money as well. Both sides are on the hook to some degree. What makes this so painful for Nationals fans is that it's Steven Strasburg. Think about the hype he had getting selected out of San Diego State, how quick he made it through the minors, the comeback to being in the World Series, winning the World Series, I think World Series MVP, if I'm not mistaken. This is a beloved figure who really helped jumpstart your franchise after some of the initial Ryan Zimmerman hype died down. Not that you have to acquiesce or kowtow to any of his demands, but you should be wanting to show any star players that are curious about maybe your organization, any guys like say Dylan Cruz, right? In that organization, he's watching this intently. Like, oh, so this is how they treat star players? As soon as, I don't follow exactly what they want.
Yeah.
I think the Nationals could have done a much better job of negotiating and saving face. There was no reason for it to get this nasty.
It is going to be interesting. And last thing before we get out of here, it is going to be interesting just because under Major League Baseball rules, obviously, if you are under contract and don't show up for spring training, then when you're supposed to, then the team, the organization can file disciplinary measures, right? And so that does play a little bit of a wrench into it. But also, do you see that happening with the guy that helped him win a World Series? It's just so strange of a situation, just kind of bizarre, and one that we don't see a whole lot, because not a lot of guys are owed, $245 million over 7 years, but
Anthony Rendon is
unable to play. I mean, and doesn't want to play. And it's just kind of interesting, this power struggle that's going on, the stare down. We talked about the stare down between Scott Boras and his clients with some of the teams, but now today, here we are with Steven Strasburg and the Washington Nationals. All right, Austin, what's coming up on the block today?
Plenty of Husker hoops. Nebraska, Indiana tonight. We'll get into the matchup, what a win tonight would be. Is it the most important game left on Nebraska's schedule? That's the question that I think we want to dive into. UConn has a tremendous road losing streak going. We've talked all year about how hard it is to win on the road. UConn's problems date all the way back to 2014. We'll go over that. Got some numbers in finding and scouting the next Patrick Mahomes. What are the numbers teams might be looking at? And then what can the Bears do with Justin Fields? Got some interesting options thrown out there. We'll get over in hour 2.
Yeah, everybody's freaking out. DJ Moore unfollowed the Bears. You know what that means. Instantly gone. All right, that'll do it for us. Stick around. On the Block with Strick and Austin is coming up in just a few moments. Once again, big one tonight, 7:30 p.m. tip-off for Nebraska and Indiana. Obviously, stay tuned immediately following the game, as we'll have post-game coverage right here on The Ticket with Bach and the guys. But once again, that'll do it for the happy hour. Huge thanks to Empire Fence and Name for their support as always. Don't go anywhere. On the Block, coming up next on 93.7 The Ticket.
Action Plumbing, Heating, Air, and Electric brings exciting career opportunities for you or someone you know.